So welcome, everybody. This is our second Ask the Masters webinar, but our first official one. Yesterday, we had access to the booth, which is exciting, and it was a lot quieter. So I got my new fancy microphone, so I'm excited to use it. Magento Imagine just finished, and Tom and I are going to kind of go over some of the highlights and interview some people.
Yeah, so we had, so since yesterday, we've had like the closing session. We were treated by Jamie Foxx for half an hour. He was a fantastic comedian telling us about what's inspired him. Obviously, we've had the legendary party, and then sessions have continued today. We've had another general session talking about lots of highlights, the kind of where Magento has been coming in the last year, where it's going, and yeah, some really big announcements. So yeah, feeling pretty peachy about Magento right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming into this one, there wasn't a lot we thought we were going to hear about, but even though there wasn't any huge surprises, it was very pleasant surprises that we learned about. So PWA, the B2B enhancements, the new versions of Magento that came out or is getting released next week, lots of exciting things.
Yeah, I think that in the past, you haven't necessarily been always that excited about some of the product releases. And as you say, not necessarily too many surprises, but things are really coming together. And each one of them, whether that be sort of the order management stuff that Magento have been working on, and that collaborating with Magento Commerce, we've talked about cloud, we've got PWA Studio, and all the B2B stuff. It's just like, yeah, everything seems to be coming together for Magento. Which, they've put enough effort in over the years. It's good to see.
Right. So have you taken your certification exam?
I haven't, but I am already I took the beta for the solution specialist, Magento 2 solution specialist last year. So, and I passed that, I'm grateful to say. So yeah, solution specialist, and then, yeah, I need to work on the developer exam.
Got it. All right. No, I have not taken any exams.
Lacking.
Yes. So the format today is we have Madeline, who is running around the marketplace, collecting interviewees. And we're going to ask some people about training. We're going to ask some people about Meet Magento, which there was a big announcement today. And we're just going to get general feedback. In general, I mean, we're in the big room. This is the room where the major sessions were, or the general sessions were last year. So the marketplace seemed smaller, but what happened really was the room got bigger. And from a merchant standpoint or from a vendor standpoint, we've seen a huge increased amount of traffic coming through our booth. It's been really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure half of that is having that extra space to actually be able to walk down the aisles and back and forth, because that was always one of the frustrations. But yeah, been good, all good things.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we couldn't get everybody into the general session, although there was a lot of seats today, so people could have come here. People are choosing to stay in the marketplace and have lunch and watch it on the big screen instead of seeing it live.
Yeah.
Of course, Jamie Foxx was really good last night.
Yeah, and people talk about Magento Imagine event, which is a fantastic event to come to. There's so much content, but most people will tell you that the big takeaways are the networks, the connections that you make. So I think that's why people spend so much time in the marketplace, because there's just so much like knowledge swapping going on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah. The variety of vendors and the people that aren't always attached to Magento, but sort of in the peripheral, but have a great solution. It's always fun to see them. And then, of course, the really fantastic swag that's available, the llamas from Classy Llama and the Wagnitos from Magento.
Of course.
Really cool stuff. So, Madeline, who do we have up first for our interview? Why don't you bring them over? Yeah, so we're going to jump right into getting some people's feedback. Tom, did you do a lot of the breakout sessions?
Yeah, I've tried to go to as many as possible. I mean, as I say, it's been jam-packed. There's sometimes 4, 5, 6 different things going on at once. So yeah, I tried to pick them. Went to a lot of the Amazon are here in for, so I went to theirs talking about Amazon Pay and Amazon Alexa. So I think that's something that we're going to really need to be watching out over the next year. So yeah, some great sessions, and I'm hopefully going to release a roundup. I'm working on a blog post doing the sessions I have gone to, just kind of getting the early warnings and what's going on for those that haven't been able to attend.
Yeah, I mean, I think this year I so overscheduled myself. I've only gone to my own session that I gave. And
so selfish.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I'm learning that I have to block out time for myself both for just trying to get a little bit of downtime, but seeing some of the contents out there.
Yeah, and I think the downtime is important. I mean, it is hard because there's always something exciting going on. But I know that Rebecca Brockton and David Manners have been talking about mental health. So not just for being able to get to the content you want to see, but also in terms of looking after yourself. It's imagine it's like a 5-6 day event. You need to take some time for yourself as well.
I heard they're going to extend it out for 30 days next year.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So I can take some power naps in the afternoon.
Actually, next year it's in May, so that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, a few weeks later. So as I mentioned, the run's going to be even hotter. So I'm looking forward to that.
The Big Dam Run will be May 12th. May 12th.
And it's Hoover Dam again.
It'll be around that area. We'll have some surprises. We're working with a new permitting person, and we're excited to have. We'll have almost nearly the same location. I'll just say that, but we will have we won't. I don't anticipate having that big uphill in the beginning.
That'd be nice.
Right. Yeah, that's.
Can't say I was a fan of that
biggest complaint of our Big Dam Run has been the run.
It's the big damn hill at the start of it.
It's the big damn hill, exactly. So I see that Laura is over here now, and Madeline is going to get John to come next, and VJ. We actually didn't line up any interviews, and we thought it would be more fun to see who's kind of still here and find out what they have to say about the event. And we have Magento U trainer, Laura Folco.
Why, hello there.
Hello. Welcome.
So,
thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. So what is new in the Magento U space?
New training, actually. My next session will be a revamped training program. So whereas before you had to have 40 hours of on-demand instruction that was self-paced, and then you would come to the class, now we're starting you off fresh. No Magento knowledge required.
Oh, wow.
Which is nice because many students would show up not having done the on-demand training. So for me, it's not anything new. It's just basically doing what I've been doing for the past year, but it's officially now. Show up, all you gotta do is know PHP.
Right. And I've heard the training is now 5 days.
Yes. Who's gonna wreak havoc with my vacation schedule, but we'll figure that out.
Priorities.
Absolutely,
Yeah. So, what else is happening in the training space? There's new tests coming out.
Certifications. We have associate and professional certification exams, and actually, I think it's too late to take them here. They've had them for the past 3 days, but they're coming out with a online study group, much like they have with Magento 1, where like an hour a week you get online with Vitaly, our architect for Magento U, and he'll give you sort of an overview of that week's unit and a bunch of exercises that are ridiculously hard because I did it for Magento 1 and it was a lot of work. Yeah. But I was very prepared and I scored pretty well on that exam.
That's good.
I've been interviewed by Vitaly and it was terrifying. Yeah, I went into a small room for a week after that.
Oh, man. Well, it's funny because I have not been called an idiot by Vitaly, and I feel like that is worthy of putting on my LinkedIn profile.
I mean, at the end, I was so frustrated. He was like trying to teach me how to just push the buttons on my blender, like pulse and fast, and I'm like, no, I can't do it.
Oh,
yeah, it was horrible.
So are there any, like now that you're working kind of on the other side of the fence in the kind of training sphere, what would you say are kind of the best resources for new developers getting into Magento 2? Either official or unofficial?
The dev docs are really thorough. There's still some gaps, but it is shocking how much good stuff is in the dev docs, especially when preparing for certification. There's a lot of material in there that you could, if you were to read those from front to back, which would be quite a worthy endeavor, you would be covered in some areas for sure for certification. But the Alan Storm stuff is still really relevant because he explains it from a, you don't know anything about how it works perspective, and really does that well. And then Vinay Kopp has a Mage 2 TV thing coming out that he started working on, and so that is definitely something to see.
Resources.
Preparation.
Yeah, I think it's worthy to mention, we mentioned yesterday as well, the Swift Otters documentation in terms of helping, working alongside dev docs as well. Those are good resources to read up on.
Yeah, there's a lot of material there.
Yeah.
It's really good. Although nothing on admin HTML yet. It's just the one area where you're looking at Stack Exchange and a Slack channel to figure out how that works.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
no one wants to do us a favor and do the research to
No.
understand admin HTML.
I might dig into that space. I feel like there's a vacuum there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a place for merchant docs.
No, I don't know about that.
No,
I
really.
don't want to go too far into the business type people world. I like to stay in developer land as much as possible.
I have some news for you. It's merchants who use Magento. It's the truth.
Yes, true. Although maybe one of them can comp my ticket if I do some merchant docs.
Yes. Let's put that out for next year.
Absolutely.
A Kickstarter.
A Kickstarter. I'm sure you could get quite a few contributions for a Kickstarter for Magento tickets.
Well, thank you very much for the interview, for stopping by. Madeline has a prize for you as a parting gift. It's a Wagnito doll. It's a Code Dev Fender.
Okay.
Yeah, like Dev Fender, Code Defender.
Got it.
Right.
Oh, I get it.
I'll put it on my desk and
Thank
all
you.
my code will be perfect.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yes. Wagnito. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
See ya.
All right. Next up, we have VJ Galani, another Magento U trainer.
Awesome. BJ. Hello. Nice to see you.
VJ, why don't you just tell us about yourself, introduce yourself?
Yeah, so myself Vijay. I work at Magento as well as Magento. For Magento, I'm a part-time as a Magento trainer, and at Magento, I'm an architect. I will convert merchant requirement into a technical requirement. That's my main job at Magento. And and I'm working since 2009 in Magento. So like I have a very good experience.
So you are working mainly in the India space for training.
Yeah. Like since last 1 year, I'm giving training in India, and I've trained more than 60 students, and like all are happy. And we have big clients like Tech Mahindra, Abbott. Like there are big clients we have, and now the good thing is for me, like they have given me Europe and US region also as a trainer, so that is a good thing for me.
So you get to travel a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so VJ does, full disclosure, he works for Magento. So he is traveling about 8 months out of the year already. And we're thinking about giving an apartment on he wants the Airbus 380 for a room. So he'll just travel around in this Airbus A380 department.
Yeah, but with heater system, because I hate cold, so it should be heater inside Airbus.
Yes. So how about from we asked Laura what she thought about from a dev docs, or from how to prepare yourself for the tests from a developer standpoint. What is your kind of heads up on getting people prepared?
Yeah, so like if you want to give Magento 2 solution specialist, then I would prefer to read a study guide and just not read it, but do the practical also. Like I read 10,000 pages of user guide in a week with practical, and that really helped me to pass the solution specialist exam.
I skimmed through the same last hour, so same amount.
And regarding the developer exam, yes, like start with associate exam, because I'm at Imagine, and since last 3 days I'm seeing that people are like feeling like a complex the professional exam. So I talked with Vinay and Magento U guys, and we are like suggesting people to first start with associate exam, because that is not that much complex. That contains admin as well as little bit coding. So if you pass that exam, then you have confidence and you know that which kind of question will be asked. Then after go with professional, then it will really help you.
I think we've seen the amount of developers they're learning Magento 2, or they've been on it for a couple of years, and kind of big names in the space, and they've taken the certification exam and only just passed or sometimes failed. And it's clearly if you do achieve it, it's a good qualification to get.
Yeah, I mean it is a difficult exam, but I know that now that the new exams are out, we've seen a huge uptick in training. So we also give training in Latin America, and we sold out our first class ever. So that it shows that people are interested, and Magento from a developer standpoint is growing in all the regions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about Laura told that like they are having Magento having a new course specially for certification.
I can't say that.
So like in that we will not tell you that which exact question will be asked, but we can tell you, like we can explain you these are the topics, and we can explain you about the particular topics, that in these topics this will contain how much weight and which kind of question we can ask, so you can prepare at that level.
Okay, wow, that's really helpful. Yeah, so I think the idea is that you'll do the 5-day course and you'll be able to pass the associate exam
Yeah.
at the end of the 5-day course.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for taking your time to come and talk to us today.
Yeah.
I think our next one is Talesh will come up.
Yeah. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Bye.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Talesh, how are you?
Doing well.
Good. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're
That's a
welcome.
little sunburn on top here.
Yeah.
So we are doing just some impromptu interviews
Oh, for sure.
for Masters. But
I know. What am I doing?
come on.
Oh,
Honorary master.
We're
honorary
looking for.
master.
you
know
can't.
that-
You can't find masters. You just like get in second best. You know.
So,
Pretty much,
anyways,
pretty
you're
yeah.
the expert in the sort of the security space, or you at least do a lot of work in the security
I
space.
pretend to be.
Yes.
Pretend to be. Yes. Yes.
So we're just looking for some feedback on the show and feedback on what you've learned here and where you feel like from a security standpoint, where's Magento going?
So, the good news is there hasn't been much news.
Always the best way in security.
Yeah, in security, when there's nothing really to talk about, is always good news.
Yeah.
Mind you, there is like the threats are evolving, and I think in the last couple of years, Magento's outreach into the community, we've seen it borne fruit. So that most people now are really on top of patching and all the basics that they needed. That was a problem like 2, 3, 4 years ago, and it's not a problem now. But the threat landscape is evolving, and it's something we're gonna have to like look forward to and try to be proactive about it now. And long gone, I believe, are the days of shoplifts and that sort of stuff. If anyone on the live stream is at Imagine, is it live streamed?
Yes.
Is at Imagine, we'll be having a panel discussion at Dev Exchange, and my entire point of that was to talk about like where security has been, where it is now, and making sure that the few people who have not caught up, what's the most effective ways for them to catch up, and also to look forward to like the evolving threats that are coming up in this sphere. And I really don't think there's like a lot to be worried about right now, unless like something lands like
Yeah. In the next 5 minutes.
5 minutes, and yeah, I'm standing here looking like an idiot. But
Last year was kind of big news with the Magento security tool, and that's been developing and progressing, and certainly like even kind of my merchants have been using that themselves, and because it's all part of the Magento account area and etc. Is that something like I don't think we've heard too much about that this time around? I don't know if you've had much exposure to that of late.
I have had exposure to it. I just think it hasn't evolved much since. Okay. There are further phases planned for it, but those phases are incredibly complicated and requires a deeper management of risk compared to the first phase, which is public and available to everyone right now. So that's one of the reasons why I think with everything Magento's in, it's like they've got like this multi-pronged push in so many parts of the ecosystem. I'm sure like this is one of those things that is like it hasn't been pushed, fast or far right now. We'll get there, I guess so.
So the viewers who aren't attuned to what the security tool is, can you just explain? It's something that anybody can use, right?
Yeah, it's an open source project by Magento, and it's something you could easily, quickly download. Sorry, not download, but load up the website, and run it against your site, and it does an external check for patches and vulnerabilities that your site may have problems with. And usually these are the most common problems. So if your site were ever to be hacked, or if it were to ever be attacked, this is the vectors an attacker will use first. So you've pretty much covered your bases for the first few things an attacker would look at. And that's what its security tool does.
So it's an external tool that scans your site from an external website. You can actually set it to run every month or every so often, right?
I've always just run it just once at a time. It's just like, it's always like, I'm not scheduling it, but that's just me. Because I have a more hands-on approach too when I'm running a site, as opposed to like scheduling it.
So tell us a little bit, what are you doing now?
That's an interesting question. my client's the United States government, so I can't say anything about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Jessica, no, not Jessica Jones. One of those TV shows about black sites and black ops.
Yeah, no, it's just, where most of the United States budget goes.
That is really exciting.
Yes.
We won't say anything else.
Nothing else. But yeah. But going forward, apart from that, outside of that, I'll be, kicking off some new videos starting next month. So
Wow.
more security stuff coming.
I think we've determined that Talesh is probably the smartest guy here.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not. I think, between you two, it's like this gravity of like intelligence in this corner of this room. It's just like,
Yeah, I just talk. So, Tom is the smart one. You're
just
the
laugh.
smart one.
I just laugh. You talk. I just laugh.
Well, thank you very much for coming by. I'm
Definitely.
sorry to get you halfway through your water there.
Yeah.
And
It's like I needed help.
what are you looking forward to this year and next year?
What I'm
What did you like about it this year, and what are you looking forward for next year?
What did I like about this year? I really enjoyed the fact that Philip Jackson was the MC. I mean, he was the only natural progression from Jamie Clark, and it gave an added depth of community involvement in what Magento does. I'm really excited about the PWA studio stuff that's coming in. It's been announced. And also, I'm really intrigued about the Magento Association that was announced today, and how that interaction between Magento, Big M, Orbital Headquarters, whatever you want to call it, the corporation, and its involvement with the community, and how it's going to evolve in the next, years to come. And those are the big things. And, one little, you'd say unsurprising, but for some it would be surprising, was the amount and the depth of involvement Amazon has had at Magento Imagine, where 5, maybe even 4 years ago, there would be no talk of Amazon. It's just, you don't say the A word, you don't say the S word, but Amazon's here, and they've top of the level, almost a keynote. There was a keynote they gave.
Yeah.
And they've got like the biggest booth behind us, like second biggest booth behind us.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
so there's things are evolving, and it's all intriguing. So yeah.
Do you and Chris plan your starts at the Big Damn Run?
No comment. Let's just say things may be happening next year that you don't know about.
Wow. Okay, it's May 12th.
May 12th is
Big Damn Run.
Big Damn Run 2019. Not
2019, right.
Don't show up at the Hoover Dam.
Oh, geez, I've already put out the dates and I've invited people.
Don't show up at the Big Dam in Hoover Dam, May 12th, 2018.
And there may be a more exciting location, too, with a
Oh.
flatter start. It'll be very near the same location, but it'll
I
be something new.
I kind of like the uphill start, Then you get to like fake how out of shape you actually are and blame it on the elevation change.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like it's just the elevation is killing me. But this time, I haven't moved much all year, so
Definitely nothing to do with that.
yeah, nothing to do with that. So yeah, but yeah, no, I'm excited about the run again next year. And Chris and I, we actually may be planning something next year. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
This is exciting. A lot of dark secrets coming from Talesh.
I can't believe I've got to wait a year now.
Yeah,
to find out.
Yeah, more secrets.
It's all secrets, all the way down.
All right. Well, thanks. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so
and-
much.
And have a great rest of your show.
Definitely, and thank you so much for having me here.
Very
So,
welcome.
yeah.
Don't forget to take your hat.
Oh, my hat. There you
Yeah.
go.
And my chair keeps slowly falling as I was talking to you. I was really putting up the microphone.
I know, it's like Brenda's not usually this short. What's happening? Thanks, guys.
Exactly. Yep,
Cheers.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Yep.
Joseph, come on over.
How's it going?
How are you? So why don't you introduce yourself? What do you do? What is your excitement?
My name is Joseph Leedy. I'm the technical lead at Imagination Media. Currently, we are a full-service e-commerce agency. We do full website builds, and we do integrations and a multi-channel commerce. And our biggest thing right now is we're actually building PWAs.
All right, excellent. So what are your highlights from the show?
I like seeing a lot of the new things that are coming out. I'm very excited for PWA Studio. I think that's really going to help us with the objectives we're trying to complete right now. I like learning it. I like the new testing framework that's about to come out, the MFTF for functional testing. I had a very good one-on-one with Tom Erskine about that. Did I get the name right? So, you know, he got together a small group. I think Christoph from Fuman was there, Genevieve from Shipper HQ, and my crew from Imagination Media were all there. There was a couple others there, but he basically posted this out on Magento Community Engineering Slack the other day. Which if you're not registered for that, I highly recommend it because it's a great way to stay on top of the pulse of the Magento world is in that community engineering Slack. He posted this the other day, said he was going to have a one-on-one demo. Anybody wants to show up is welcome to. And that's one thing I love about this Magento community is impromptu things like that, where people just reach out and say, hey, we want to show you what we have to offer. Come see us. I love this community a lot.
One more question on the testing framework then. I know we've had Magento testing frameworks in the past. I mean, quickly tell us like what's important about having a testing framework in the first place, and maybe a little bit in terms of what's different this time around with their latest release.
Well, a good framework gives us a good starting point to write our tests from. It finds a set of rules that we can use to write those tests, and it keeps everything consistent. So with this new testing framework, I'm not familiar with the old MTF, unfortunately. I never tried the Magento testing framework. The new Magento functional testing framework looks pretty cool. It's a lot more XML driven. Basically, you define your tests in XML. You assign different parameters via XML. And you tell it what you want to run on what you wanted to see on the page, what you wanted to do with that page, and what you expect to happen when you define that page. So you define all that in XML, and then from that XML is generated some PHP code to actually run Selenium on that page and verifies that what you expect to happen is actually going to happen. So I absolutely love that. Love how they're making it easy enough to get into that kind of testing without having to do a whole lot of boilerplate or having to write a whole lot of extra code. The other thing I like is they have now this concept of merging the XML files together. So what happens is I can't remember the name of the tag, but there's a tag you define in that XML. And when you run those tests, the framework will grab all the pieces of XML that match that same tag, and we'll combine them all together. So if you want to, say, test whether two extensions will work together properly, those two extensions can define that same tag, and then they'll run that sequence, whatever sequence they define the run in, and along with the core code too, and then everything will be verified that works together. And one of the neat takeaways I had was that when it hits an error, it doesn't just try to muddle on and ignore that error. It'll actually stop dead in its tracks. So let's say two extensions are defining the same test for the same button, and one extension removes that button, but the other one needs that button to be there and needs it to have a certain value. And the first extension to remove that button. This MFTF will catch that when you run those tests on those two extensions, and we'll say, oh, wait a minute, there's a problem here. Don't go any further. Get this resolved. And that's one of the things I really like about that new testing framework.
Great. Oh, that's great. So what are you looking forward for next year?
More involvement with the community. I love the way this community gets together and the way we interact. And I miss that every year after I leave here, so I can't wait to see more of that for next year. Hopefully, more of a drive toward that, getting everybody into testing, because unfortunately, even in my own work, we don't do enough testing as developers, and I think we need to have more tools like MFTF that drive us more closer to that goal of having good test coverage. Right now, PWAs are the big thing, as I mentioned before, and I'd like to see. Right now, they're starting out with the tools for PWA, and I want to see where we are at a year from now with all those tools and frameworks. And I'd like to see a much stronger showing and a lot more demos next year of what we can do with these new tools that are being developed at this point this year.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and thanks for stopping by, and enjoy the rest of the show.
All right.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I think we have time for one more interview today.
Sure.
We have a Meet Magento organizer coming up. Jamie, come on.
Come on down.
Hello.
Yourself.
Jamie Huskin, JH, Meet Magento UK, overall legends.
Yeah.
Nice to see you today.
And comedian, obviously.
And comedian. Comedian first, hustler second.
Yeah.
So I am.
Yeah. So, what is your impression of this year's Imagine?
It's just incredible. It's insane. It's just everything about it. I think they've done perfect, right? They've absolutely nailed everything.
Yeah.
It feels like they hit everything I complained about last year, and they just said, Jamie, I'm going to make it good for you, and I'm going to make it better.
Yeah.
It's just the general sessions, mentioning the community, making sure everybody's name drops, the people are brought in, Meet Magento on stage. It's just, those things form a part of why we love to do this, right? Why we love to be involved with Magento, why we work with it every day. And for them to involve that and to bring it to the front stage to the general sessions, not just as chatting at the bar on the pre-Imagine and the rest, I think they've nailed it.
Yeah.
It's great.
They mentioned a community a lot in previous years, and it's always taken with a pinch of salt. But I kind of really believe that they mean it now. They understand the value in it.
It feels like there's been a lot of new people betting in because there's been a lot of changes in the team.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of new people betting in, and I think Andrea came on. She's talking about the community and gave an amazing speech there at the last session, and I think they mean it. They get it, and I think it just took that time. It just took a little bit of time, and I think that's reflected across the whole event. I think you've got Kenny and the design team doing an amazing job. It doesn't feel like design's been anywhere near this level at Magento for quite a while, and it feels like Magento has been this tech platform, this dev platform. And this year they've just said, you know what, it's a great platform. You can do whatever the heck you like with it.
Yeah.
And let's just brand it like crazy everywhere. And I think they've just nailed that as well.
I think over the last year they put their trust in us a lot with the community engineering team, kind of allowing us as agencies and developers to get involved. And I think we've kind of been able to give back, and they've seen the benefits.
I think so as well. I think it's nice that it's reciprocal rather than, it's previously, I'm not saying this in a bad way, previously by comparison, it's been, you do it and that's it. You never see the light of day, right? You might get a brand sale, congratulations on that thing. But that's about it. And it feels like today, you're getting packages in the mail, you're getting tweets, you're getting personal letters, you're getting call out on stages. There's just everything. They're bringing it in and they're rewarding those efforts. Everything from contribution days all the way to the Meet Magentos of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations. You won an award yesterday for the best mobile site, I believe. So,
yes, best mobile experience.
It'd be great to hear a little bit more about that site.
Yeah, it's the best mobile experience 3 years running. Never been done for any category, so I'm just insanely happy about that.
Yeah.
Neom Organics, so they just a phenomenal client, really. They just came to us, and the nice thing about those stats is, when you see a typical site and you see 200% increase, 100% increase, and all of these things, they had a great site before.
Yeah.
A really good site, really responsive, and it was just nobody paid attention to the details, right? So it's like PWAs where everyone's saying, I've just launched a PWA, and they've not launched a PWA, they've kind of launched a service worker, and that's about it. And I think it's the little details that make that site load kind of 0.2 seconds on every single page. It's the little details that make it 200 kilobytes a page load rather than 6, 8, 10 that people are kind of flaunting around. And when we come to it's 240% increase in mobile revenue. Black Friday was 180%.
Wow.
It just went insane. And this is not about, again, there's all sorts of factors that can double something. Traffic can double at the same time, right? Then sales magically double.
Yeah.
It's none of that. It was just the site by itself. And they've got an amazing team. We've got an amazing team. And I think it's one of those that we love just working with people that get it and just sit at the table and just enjoy it and smile and laugh and have some fun. And I think those guys are, yeah, when you put two brilliant teams like that together, this is what happens, I think.
Yeah,
and it's
just
just
great to see.
So happy. Incredible. I wish I'd realised Jamie Foxx was backstage at the time and taken advantage of that. But
you get a whip back there, shook his hand.
It's I only went down 6 or 7 steps, but it felt like I'd ran a mile, and cardio is not up to scratch. And you go back and backstage, from the front, it looks like you just got some steps and you're there, right? It feels like it's a step ladder or something. And you go back and it's a good 20-odd meters of track.
Yeah.
And all the time you're thinking, everybody stop clapping. Nobody wants to see this guy run up the stage, So, yeah, it was also, I could only go up on my own. So they say, you can only bring one person. You can, if the merchant's there, great, but you can't substitute them. It's just you.
Right.
And we had 7 people here this year, and the account manager for Neon was up in the crowd, so I couldn't bring him on. So when I came on, I gave a little point to him, made sure he knew he was there in spirit, and then afterwards made an absolute idiot out of myself, almost tripping over in front of everybody.
We've all been there.
Yeah, those awards are so heavy when you stand up. Your balance needs correcting, and
you got 2. You had to carry 2 down. So.
Brett stopped me from making an absolute idiot out of myself. But I ran up the steps, gave one to Janet, made sure he knew.
Yeah.
It's not me, it's him. It's the team that do these things. I just get to take all the credit all the time. Right?
Amazing. So what are you looking forward to over the next year, like between now and next, imagine?
I think PWA Studio. I think it's not just PWA Studio. It's about Magento leveling up that PWA altogether. I think I've had a lot of very interesting conversations about that over this Imagine. And I think they are going to set the standard rather than simply just provide the tools.
Yeah, and like I say, I think their approach is way better than the way they've tackled previous challenges.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people. The difficulty with PWA right now is anybody can do PWA, right? It's not like they're unlocking something. We go, thank God this was possible.
Right.
We can get it done if someone chucks a ton of money at us, right?
Yeah.
And that's the issue. Is actually we kind of want to bring down that bar and say, well, this person can afford it, not just these guys up here.
Yeah.
So what Magento are doing there is just making that incredibly accessible. It's
it's going to be great for everybody. Absolutely.
I think can't not look forward to that. It's going to be amazing. I think tech that empowers change, powers better design, powers better user experience.
Yeah, everybody's faster.
Gets me excited.
Yeah. So tell us, just before we leave, your opinion on the sessions in the Wynn Theater and then kind of splitting them apart. How do you feel about that?
It's interesting. They added one extra session this year, right? There was one less last year, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think. Was it?
So there was 4 sessions this year, and I think there was 3 last year. So it was confusing to know which one was going to do anything, like what the sessions were for, because they're just labeled general sessions.
Yeah, when were they announced it's going to be? When was awards?
When did I really need to make sure I'd not had those few pre-drinks for the awards and mess that one up again? And I think they were good. I think that just the stage, the theatrics, everything about it. Yeah, it was a bit painful kind of getting in, especially for the first one where nobody was used to doing it and it was just a crowd. But then the second one was immediately better. The third one was even better. The one this morning was just coasting in, seat wherever the hell you like. It was a lot easier. So you could see that natural progression, and now they've got another year to get it even better.
Somehow, how are they going to manage that?
I think we're just going to all pair from the floor like Phil and just shake it about. I think that's what we're going to do.
Everybody will come up from their seats. Load up.
Brittany, make it happen. Make it happen.
There's been an awful lot more merchants here, both in attendance but also on stage, sharing their experiences. I don't know how many of those of you've seen, but any highlights in terms of new merchants and their experiences with Magento?
I think it's been phenomenal. I think is it a third of the audience this year? Over 1,000 merchants they quoted. So let's say it's 3,000 people. I think there's more, but let's say it's 3,000. It's a third, which is an epic. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
What's the one this morning? Rural Kings.
Rural King.
Yeah, Rural King.
I think that story, the way the video was shot. When they're talking about the stores and they're saying, now it's going like this with the photographs and just the videography there was brilliant. I don't know if Magento did that or if Creativity did, but whoever did needs to be given a gold badge, a star, a high five, whatever they need to be done. all at once, because that
Yeah.
was just phenomenal.
I would say in general, the video work by Magento has been great. I mean, the Big Damn Run videos were really fun. Phil and Forrest Gump. It's good stuff.
That final video, did they sleep at all during the conference? Had Jamie Foxx in there, had, just magical people on the stage with different interviews. TJ saying, do I just talk or is there a script? What am I doing? Just that, it's brilliant.
I'm sure there were a lot of videographers that didn't go to the party last night.
So do you have a lot of ideas for Meet Magento London, Meet Magento UK?
I think Meet Magento UK is basically there now. We're 6 weeks out, so if I didn't say that, you guys would panic, right? But I think we've got an agenda that we've just got no right to put on. It's so much better than I thought it was going to be. It's not to say I went in thinking it was going to be horrible. I thought it was going to be just the greatest conference of all time, right? That's what we do. So I thought it was going to be good, and then I looked through the agenda yesterday, went through it with several people, and they were just saying, how have you got these people?
That's great.
Which is, the kind of question I want people to ask, because that's what sells tickets, but it's what hopefully lets us do it again and again and again and everything else. So
yeah, I saw. I think the way the website and the way you're presenting it, it's just fantastic.
Thank you.
I wish I could come.
Yeah, I wish you could too. Tom, you coming?
Oh yeah, definitely. Is there
20 tickets?
any of the agenda that you can share with us and tease?
I don't know. The people I'm excited about are like literally confirming today, but I think we've got some pretty great stuff. I think we've gone in with a different mission. What we started with is, what do we not like about events we've been to? That's not to criticize what everyone else does, because everyone has their own style, everyone has their own market, etc. But we went in and we said we don't like people that feels like sales pitch, so we're going to kill that.
Yeah.
I don't care. Sponsors are going to ask for talking slots. That's great, but they're going to deliver the talk we want, not the one they want to do, right?
Yeah.
So we have two phenomenal sponsors in PayPal and Akuva that are doing CTO growth scaling, and then on the PayPal side are looking at data insights and how you double down on growth for that. We didn't like product demos. We thought, Magento has amazing product demos and they're available at the click of a link. We don't need someone to pay £200 a ticket to come see that.
Watch the video.
They can have a follow-up email, or they can ask a Magento rep for that. So we've started thinking about, what's the merchant journey, but equally what's the technical journey. So we have two different sides. We've got the two different tracks of merchant technical. We've got the limitation of one day. On the technical side, what we're trying to do is say, what's it like to be a developer? How do you develop that? How do you learn how to recruit and build a great culture and build a great team and attract good people? Is as much a valuable lesson as learning about GraphQL and saying, well, this is the future of APIs, you need to know this. So we're trying not to cover the basics, but we're equally trying to make sure it's accessible all the way through. Because if you're leading a merchant team of 5 or 1, and you're just thinking, well, what does that look like at 20 million? What's it look at 50 million?
Right.
We can provide that education because we can bring the guys who've done that before. And on the merchant side, it's the same. Instead of saying, well, this is shipping, and you're like, yeah, I can ship a package. It's what's going to happen is, well, how do you do that strategic planning? How do you involve different partners? When do you do user research? Is it always 300 grand, or can I do it for 5? And the scale there of the different tool sets that I don't think most people know what's available to them. So it's a passion project. It's an absolute dream come true. I think we first met at Meet Magento UK.
Yeah, many years
so,
ago.
My first event where I came and people were saying, holy shit. I think you were saying holy shit as well. And everyone was just saying, I wanted to meet you, and all the rest. And I think 7 years later, to be on stage, to be the guy putting it all together, I can't think of anything better than that.
That's great.
It's going to be amazing, and hopefully I do it justice.
Yeah, can't wait.
Otherwise, I'll be the first one to criticize.
Well, good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
And thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for all the advice and help over the years.
Yeah.
And especially
very
Meet
welcome.
Magento, you've been incredibly useful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, good to see you.
If you ever want to talk exit clauses, let me know.
Thanks very much.
And you'll be back on May 13th?
Maybe. It's my daughter's birthday.
Oh, that's a tough one.
So that is an
May
impossible
12th will
decision.
be the Big Damn Run, so you'll come to that at least.
I'll come
And
to
you
the
can-
run and I'll fly
Yeah,
home.
then fly home.
Yeah.
And fly back on the 14th.
I don't know what I'm going to do. But that's an impossible decision. I've got a year to make, I guess.
Yeah,
it takes
right.
them, what, 7 months to sell the
Just bring them
tickets?
out here. Just bring them out here.
That's my initial thought, but I don't know if my wife would like that, especially if
Early
we'll
bird
have a
tickets with
2-year-old son at that point
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
as well. So she's 4 this year, she'll be 5 next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 5's not bad to take a kid out,
Mhm.
but 2, not great. So yeah,
Little mini Jamie up there. Bring her along.
she can collect the award.
Yeah,
I'll win a
exactly.
prize there, definitely.
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah, something to think about. Unfortunately for me, but I think we'll definitely have 6 or 10 people out from our side next year.
Right.
It's just whether I'm one of them.
Got it.
That's all.
Great. Well, really appreciate it. Have a good rest of the show, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah,
You
safe
gonna be in the
travels home.
Netherlands?
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, I think that was that's it.
Yeah. Great to hear like other people's experiences, not just hear from you and I.
Yeah. That 20 minutes were really fast. Well, I guess we are out of time. Tom, I really appreciate you being here and helping out on the Ask the Masters.
No problem. It's nice to do it face to face. I know next time we'll have to do it from like 4,000 miles apart, but yeah, always good fun.
Good. All right. Thank you, everybody. This will be available to stream later on. And if you're watching it streaming, I don't have to say that.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.